Sounds like we got people on. I'm going to do it again. Okay, let's see. Okay, awesome. Great. You good to go? Let me remove our little clock. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Welcome. We did it on the count. We got more minutes. Like they can have more minutes to like kind of get themselves. They can have more minutes to kind of get themselves together while we kind of like just while we natter away. We did. We did. And where did I go? I just lost that gorgeous frame that I just had. Oh, let me find it again. There we go. Yes, I had a really nice frame. Right, let me put you back in. There you go. That's better. And take this person out. There we go. It's nice and bright. See? It's nice. Yes, it's nice and bright. There you go. Yeah, so we're there. We got people on. I should put on my glasses so I can see. It would be helpful. We do. And welcome, everybody. Welcome to joining us on Let's Continue the Conversation. And I'm going to make sure I have all my stuff up because, I'm so excited because I had such a good time yesterday. Maybe I had too much of a good time. I always feel like maybe I feel a little bit guilty, but I enjoyed it. I was literally, I was working at the time, right? So I was sitting on the couch and I wasn't in my office. I left my office for today and I was sitting on the couch and I was feverishly doing like social media stuff. I was creating some stuff. I was working through some ideas. So I hadn't turned everything on yet to watch it, right? And then time kind of hit me. I was, and I'm like, okay, let me get on, sit in. And so I was then able, this is why I love technology, right? I was then able to go back to the bits I wanted to while they were doing all the fluffy bits. So I was able to listen to Amanda and I listened to some of her other work and I was able to listen to Biden's and really dissect. I mean, I went deep in on that thing. And then I did a parlay, girl. I did a parlay with some of the speeches and famous quotes that Martin Luther King had said. And created like some stuff which I'll be kind of posting because it was so interesting. Right, where things kind of intersected and some things were still left. And then I found pictures too. I was going till 3:00 this morning. I do. But when I sleep, I sleep. No, when I sleep, I sleep. So like the time was there and I'm like, I gotta go get up to do the morning show. I need to go to bed. I do. I really do. But when I sleep, I hardcore sleeper, like out. I'm Lizzie Morris. No, not seriously non-scripted. Yes, we do. We do. So we're telling you that ahead of time. So don't be offended and think that we're really bad hosts because we're not doing that thing of talking to you every 5 seconds and saying hi. So we're so glad that you came on. How are you doing? We're sorry. We're sorry in advance. We really do. Oh, oh, the best part. Okay, it's going to be really. You are. I tell you what, where the best part was. It was watching Amanda and seeing her roots and knowing her braids weren't absolutely fresh. But yet she was there in front of the whole world and nobody cared that her hair was braided. And nobody cared that she had the, the kind of like gold things on the stuff. And she was articulate, expressive, right? With such poise. Oh, and that yellow coat. It was, I mean, that for me was look at who's standing on the stage. Look at that's what it's telling. All these little girls everywhere and these little dark girls. Okay, here are, I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, it would have been great if she was a light-skinned black girl, but it was awesome that she was a dark-skinned chocolate black girl, right? Deep chocolate with braids. It was beautiful. That is going to help so many young girls and adult women who are older than her. That she bridged so much with her presence even before her words came out of her mouth. I was see, I'm getting all teary. It was, yeah, it was beautiful. It was. Ah, mm. Keep art in schools, and she did a poem on a show. Oh Jesus, it was a news show, right? And this is going back early in the pandemic. And she was talking about rage. And in it, she talked about the rage was there to get a response, but it wasn't there to harm. And yes, we were allowed to be angry. And it was so eloquent. It for me, listening to her, she did for me what when I listened to Maya Angelou's stuff. Um, that's I had that kind of experience. I've just been told that you are not audible. That's what I was just told. So I don't understand. Okay, let's see now. Let me just send a text and see if now you are audible. So I'm glad I found that out early. Yeah, look, yeah. Glad we're only that. You appear on my chart to be. Your sound seems to be like it's moving. Yeah, so you appear that way. So hold on a second. Let me do one more check. Technical time, we're just checking. Yeah, you appear, and when you're talking, I'm looking at your stuff, and your stuff is pretty high. So, yeah, yeah. Her levels appear to be really high to me. Can you go back and check?
Yeah, I can.
Oh yeah, let me ask. Can you guys hear Tricia? Can you hear her? Can you hear her? And here's one of the things I can do is I can talk, Trish. Let me. I know it's like sound check 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
These little dark girls. Okay, here are. I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, it
I'm
would
hearing
have been
myself.
great if
What's
she's
it?
a light-skinned black
Do you
girl.
see how
But it was awesome
behind
that
that is our conversation on LinkedIn?
Right, deep chocolate with braids. It was beautiful. That is going to help so.
That is crazy.
young
Just that
girls.
that is almost. Look how many
And
minutes
women.
behind that is.
And adult women who are older than
That's
her.
insane.
That she bridged so much with peace.
Dave, you can hear it now, right?
Words cannot do.
You still can?
Yeah, continue having the
I was
conversation.
Okay.
You see, I'm getting all teary. It was beautiful. It was.
So let me see her her levels perfect. I can hear her perfectly.
I should can, but I didn't. Oh, that's streaming.
And the ECAM is where I brought her in from. So here's her ECAM levels right there.
You know, and she did a poem on a show. Oh Jesus! It was a news show, right? And this is going back early in the pandemic.
And you added it to the right, right?
And she was talking about rage.
Click on range.
And in it, she talked about the rage was there to get a response, but it wasn't there to harm, and yes, we were allowed to be angry. And it was so
she's not muted.
She's definitely not muted because I hear her. She's not muted at all.
She did for me when I listened to Maya Angelou's stuff.
I don't know because I hear her. She is like literally perfect. Let me try her on. That's what I was testing. Sadly, this thing. Okay, she was talking.
Yeah, you can't hear her.
No, he's right.
You can't hear her. But you can hear her here. Is the point. So something's going wrong between your connections, but you can hear here. So why did you go on from here?
Because it's not set up to do that like that. But so that's why.
I don't know how to help you at this point.
So no, I can't. So what I'm going to do is I will bring her in from. I'll have her come in from StreamYard and see if that makes a difference.
The problem is she's not live on this. So what you're getting in ECAM, you're not able to send over because you're someplace else connected with her. So you're trying to do too many things at once.
Oh, so it just told you you're in the broadcast now, so it didn't have. Ah, okay. Let's see.
Yeah, you got. Yeah. She's her levels appear to be really high.
Okay, that's going to be behind this with obviously. So my statement to you is when you just went live here, and I guarantee you can hear it here, but now you're live in two places, right?
Yes, been live in two. I've been live in but I was live in the two places the whole time.
Okay, I can't help you with your situation. Right?
So I mean, and that's why I tested it with you earlier, and it worked.
This is not working, so I'm sorry. I don't know what to do because I don't know how you connect with your stuff.
So what I can do. Let me check one more time. I can't. Okay, Victor's saying the same thing. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring her in from StreamYard. So hold on. I'm gonna send you a StreamYard invite. So hold on 1 second.
All right, well, you got it.
I'm about to do that. Okay, what am I doing? I'm gonna invite you here.
Hey, Trish.
And I will send that over into the IM right now. It's not going to look as pretty, but it's okay. At least we're going to get sound. And let me open that up. There you go. Okay, that is so weird because you do realize, remember last time when we did our thing, right? We were here. This is just, it doesn't make sense. It's like you're waiting for it. Because last time it was put, try go with that. Exit out of this one. Okay. There you go.
Now, can you hear me? Is the big question.
Can you hear her now?
Well, it will. Yeah, and we're ahead, so
you're ahead.
So we got to wait a second.
Yeah, it's almost like 3 to 4 minutes ahead, which is.
Well, I don't think it's 3 or 4 minutes, but it's at least 30 seconds. I think was the difference I saw earlier. Okay. Can they hear me?
Let's see. Yes.
Yay!
Okay.
And I can use the green screen from this one, I think.
Yes, you can because you're in StreamYard.
But now I got to move the green screen, so we're just gonna let it.
We're just gonna just let it be, right? And they can hear you loud and clear. All right, so.
Well, it was a very. I mean, I had very intelligent things to say for the first 10 minutes, and now it's just gonna be whatever happens now. So I can't be held responsible.
So yes. So the question that Tricia had asked me was, what was the most exciting thing or thing that had resonated with me the most from yesterday? And that was what you guys were hearing me answer. So let me throw that question back at you now. What was it that resonated the most for you?
Well, first I will acknowledge that my husband was he's like texting me. He's like, you're missing it. I'm like, just wait, because I have showered during this whole time, but I did shower, like, and actually brushed my hair and flat ironed it and stuff. But I put on a glittery dress. I did a little dance. So I come downstairs and he's like, and I'm like, just let me be. like I was all dressed up.
I did that.
I even put heels on for a minute, right?
Oh, I didn't do heels, but I did get totally dollied up yesterday. I did. I thought it was worthwhile.
Yeah, I think for me, the best way to describe yesterday to some degree is there were lots of little cool moments and stuff, but I just had this like relief. And when I say relief, it's, and this is going to maybe speak to my privilege, right? Is like, I wasn't waiting for the next crazy thing to happen. I could look away. I could go away, and I felt like adults were in the room, right? Like something might be crazy, but it was just, it wasn't a train wreck that I felt like I was having to watch. And it just felt like I could just relax for a minute. And like there was going to be a press conference and I didn't have to worry about what crazy lies were going to be said in the press conference. But I'm also owning that a little bit of that is like, it could be really easy for me to then go back to see, okay, humanity's fine. We'll be fine. Everything's fine. Right. And so I'm acknowledging that in the same breath that I felt this like relaxed relief dynamic from yesterday, I also felt this, but be careful, Tricia, right? Like if you assume everybody else is just going to do the work, or if you sit back because you can sit back even further than what you could the last 4 years, we can't let up, right? Like we got to keep having the conversations. We got to keep pushing on different. I mean, heck, even today, did you see the hashtag of Biden erases women?
No, I did not.
So yeah, one of the executive orders is about for the trans community and supporting the trans community. And again, equal, right? Just equity. And the hashtag coming back is Biden erases women. And it's one day returning rights that we had lost in the last 4 years, and giving someone equal rights doesn't take away your rights.
It doesn't, but I think that's the fear, right? I think that's the whole reason why we are caught in this movement of having to push the diversity and equity agenda, so to speak, right? Because people don't want to let go of where they are. And if I make you equal to me, then there's going to be something less of me.
But
that's not
how
true.
do you get that narrative? So like maybe I'm feeling really naive and lucky that I just don't understand why propping you up means less for me. I can't wrap my head around that. And yet it's constant. And somebody pointed out to me, because I was like, the tax laws that Biden's talking about and everybody getting upset about it. And there was a meme that was like, if you have, like the popcorn ceiling, you don't need to be worrying about the tax change laws. Like, if you have, right, if you're getting the $600, you don't need to be worrying about the tax law changes, right? But yet there's people that are like, well, you can't, that are not making over $400,000. They're just not. And yet they're panicked about the increase of that. I was like, how did a bunch of rich people get people not going to get impacted to actually argue against what their best interest, right? Like I paid more in taxes the last few years, which I'm actually okay with. I don't mind doing that, but like, it just is crazy to me. And then somebody said, well, because they might win the lottery one day. And if they win the lottery one day, then you would be taking more of their money. It's like, oh my gosh. That so makes no sense, but yet makes all the sense in the world, right? Wow. Like you hold on for that American dream that you're going to be just completely loaded one day. And so in case that one day happens, you don't want to be taxed at that point.
Then you start giving to charity, right? You do good with the money. You do good with it. And you allow that money to begin to flow. And then you don't have to worry about that. Well, that was
the whole concept of trickle down economics, right? Is like, well, it will just flow downward. And well, that didn't really happen. Or minimum wage discussions as can be. And it makes me crazy. So my combination was just like this overwhelming, like, relax, and then realizing how easy my privilege could make it go, okay, I can just stop saying anything. I can go back to funny dog photos on Facebook. I can go back to like I can't go back to dancing now, but I mean, hopefully one day when I get a vaccination. But like all of those things. So I think that is something that is making me nervous, is with little steps forward, will people just go, that's enough? When there's so much more to do when it comes to racial equity, gender equity, LGBTQ, all underrepresented. Will
that's a lot. There's
tokens
so
or a couple steps be enough that, especially given the contrast of the last 4 years, that people gotta go, okay, we're just tired. We're done, right? And that scares me.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's the whole reason we're doing this and we've continued to do it, right? Is the idea that we must keep the conversation going about diversity and inclusion. And when I think about where we started the conversation, right? Personally brought it on air and then went through the end of the year. And then I pursued getting qualified in diversity and equity because I'm like, okay, well, what, so I've gone.
And you passed your test.
I passed my test. Oh God, what a horrible test. Right. And got to the end of that, to now be so much more educated about what it means when we're talking about diversity, that it's not based on one segment of the population, regardless of how hard or how hard hit that segment is. It's about bringing everybody to the point where there is true, like kick off your shoes, come sit on the couch, kind of inclusion that's there. And if I hadn't gone and studied you know, and if we hadn't started this conversation and me then wanting to know more to be able to help more, I could still be sitting with a very skewed idea of what that means. And think about it. There may be lots of people sitting with that skewed idea of what diversity and inclusion means, and that's stopping them from doing some of the things they need to do to enable it to happen. Because in their mind, it means this, when in fact it means way more than that. So it's kind of like my hashtag, right, is almost like a prophetic thing on there, right? Because me saying our humanity is beautiful. When you think about diversity and inclusion, that is the message, that we want everybody everywhere, as long as they're on this planet, right, and they're from this planet, we want them to be treated with true respect and supported in their human journey. That's really the message.
I just, how can someone go, no, I don't want to treat that person with respect, right? Like, because they, you know, are doing something I don't like. And yet I say that and then go, but I don't know if I can treat people with respect anymore that are actively hate, right? Like I struggle with that. So I realize it's this kind of double-sided message. And so like I listen to the words from yesterday and I hear hope. And I also understand somebody else hears hypocrisy.
And I hear healing. I hear healing. That's the word. If I were going to say, what's the word? And I'm interested for you guys who are listening, what's the word that you have? What's that word? And when I think about healing, healing is a process.
Yeah.
Right. And depending on what you're healing from, your wound might pop back open and get infected again.
That's a lovely image. Thank you for that gag factor.
Sorry. Hope you can hold your stomach. Hold your stomach on. Hold your stomach on that one. Right. But literally, that's what can happen. And she said something in the beginning. Amanda said something. Let me get it. Where she said, we've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. That scares me.
Yeah. Well, I ended up actually making a comment on my Facebook feed. And my Facebook is only for people that I know. I don't open it up to just anybody, right? But I said, if you post an MLK quote and I've heard nothing and you've never posted anything about what has been happening, I'm coming for you. Like, I'm coming for you. Do not post. And then my husband posted a really long thing and actually listed a bunch of other quotes that tend to not be used because they don't fit the white narrative of, you know, checking things back into place. But it's that silence. And I think that's why that scares me. It's like, I could easily be really happy with just moving things back in the right direction. And my day-to-day is less, fearful. I'm less in fear for my immediate friends. I'm less in fear for people than I was just a little bit ago. Still a little nervous on certain aspects, like women's rights in terms of pro-choice, but like I'm definitely significantly less fearful. And it could be much easier to go silent. Not silent in the I stopped caring, but just exhaustion. Just not wanting to be, this is an interesting thing that's coming to me. I get worried about being seen as just nothing's good enough. It won't be good. So even when there is a step being taken, I still want 20 more steps and not acknowledging. So I love your statement of healing as a journey, because there's an element of I can still keep pushing for more and be happy with where we're headed too.
Yeah. And I guess it's the concept of, because we're healing, we're on this journey, and maybe now I've got, and I'm sorry, I'm using such very visual terms. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Sorry. right? But there's like a scab forming, right? But you know when those form, they can look really ugly.
Change your analogy metaphor.
Okay, I'm
please.
going to change my metaphor. I'm going to change my metaphor. I'm going to change my metaphor. I'm going to change my metaphor. Okay, let me.
Unless you want to see a whole different, people are going to wish they still couldn't hear me on this thing.
Let me change my metaphor. Okay, so let's take the metaphor of let's take the journeying metaphor because that has less blood and guts involved.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Is that good? Yeah, we'll do that. Let's take that one. But I tell you what, have I got it here? There was when Biden said, this scared me.
Okay.
Because he admitted it himself, right, as a president. Where he says, I know speaking of unity can sound like a foolish fantasy these days. Okay, okay, cool. But here he goes. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real, but I also know they are not new. Okay, that's a fact. That's a fact. You acknowledge that fact, right? And our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, naivetism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial and victory is never assured. That's horrible. So, and I don't know, like I said, because, I can be a bit anal on stuff. I don't know that people have gone back necessarily and read the speech, so they get every little part of it. But the president of the United States is just saying, I can assure you, even under my presidency, I'm going to be able to bring this crap together, that people actually respect each other and that you're safe. I can't promise you safety. I can promise you that if it comes up too far in my face, I will do something about it, but I can't promise you safety.
He didn't lie.
No, he didn't. And I'm glad he didn't lie. But there is the answer. Can you really let up? Hell no, we can't let up because, did you see what I'm saying? The president, the person who's supposedly now the most powerful man in the world, in his speech is letting you know, yo, everybody, let's just keep it real. I ain't gonna lie.
The ability to what about and hide behind certain things and twist is honestly impressive. It's just impressively scary. So I clearly wouldn't. I couldn't keep my mouth shut even if I tried. But it was an interesting dynamic of how quiet my feed got. Like it was just, and maybe some of that is just, it's okay. We could take a couple days. Like it's okay. Like just enjoy a non-newsworthy press briefing, right? Like just enjoy it it's okay for a couple days to enjoy and to rescind some of those things. For a good friend of mine who's Native American, and the look on his face in terms of the pipeline, and just it's hard for me to explain other than just feeling seen and respected, right? And for my trans friend, and I feel like I'm kind of basking in my friends of color and underrepresented in different fashions, just feeling seen, and it's nice.
Yeah,
really, really nice.
I mean, because now it's possible to believe the invitations to the parties will come.
Yeah.
Right, because you want me to take part in the conversation at the table, and not just be a token on the kids' table in the back of the room. Right, you're going to invite me to the adults' table so I can sit down and I can converse. There's definitely that hope, because what's so interesting, I found so interesting, right? And you tell me how you found it. We have because we have here this, he went outside and he did it because, I was concerned.
I was panicked.
Okay, I was really concerned for the dude. Okay, not just for real concerned. So he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna be scared. You guys aren't gonna come at me like that. I'm coming out. I'm doing out here. We ain't gonna have the whole crowd here now, though. But I'm gonna do it in the traditional place it's always done. I'm gonna kind of like claim this turf back.
Yeah.
Right. So he did that, and so we have, and this is one of the things I thought was so, and I'm going diversity year on you, right? But we have a really old man, right, becoming president, which is a huge message to people who feel their life is over because they've hit 70 or 65 and I can't pursue any more dreams and I can't do anything. No, he sent a message to all those aging baby boomers out there. If there's still something you're passionate about pursuing, you can look at me. Right? So he was announcing something. And then you have the vice president announcing something in her being of women. Look where we are. Right? So look where we as women can say, and I'm the one who, when they all get together to make those laws, I decide if it goes, I decide if it doesn't. Look, it's a woman here who's doing that, right? So we have the age, we have the woman. And then now we have, let's look at the races that people say aren't as smart as everybody else, right? Can't do as much as everybody else. Schools aren't the same standard. So here I have somebody now representing the HSBCUs, right? So that's being represented. Then I have somebody.
So amazing, by the way.
Wasn't it though? Right. And they were coming and they were twisting and coming the whole way down.
I was like, dancing all over again.
You guys look so good, but oh God, I wonder how cold it is. That's all I thought about when I saw them in those
well, I don't think you probably feel it when you're in that moment.
Yeah, maybe not, because it was cold. That's all I thought about with those people, the cold. So we have, this is the stuff you focus on, right? I'm concerned about the cold. So I saw that. So here now, we've got our HSBCU. We've got the Black female, right? And we have the brown female because she represents East Asia. And what I thought was so interesting, because I didn't realize what Indian mix she was. She's Southern Indian, Tamil, right? And a lot of times, dark Indians, which is what people from there tend to be when you think about the caste system, not necessarily the highest of the high, right? But here she's coming and saying, hello, from all the places, raised by a single mom. But look where I'm standing.
The blended family up there.
Yeah, did you see that? Look, there was like, it's possible. Hello, it's possible. You're all fighting this stuff. But this is where our world is going. This is where we are. And this is what we should be embracing, all of us, of what we come to the table with. And so I thought that was really kind of like, wow. Look at this. And I don't know if they were even conscious of how many things they were all representing there yesterday on that stage. So much came with them. And I'm hoping that that's the signal to the future of us, even though I've got this scary statement.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the cabinet. Transgender is and I'm blanking on her name. I'll have to look it up because I haven't been following. Like I said, I took a bit of a break, but I mean, his cabinet or who he's proposing for his cabinet has representation in those things. And so it's speaking the very thing that we say we're valuing. I loved it. I loved lots of the dynamics. I loved both the right and the left presidents being there. I liked, right?
Wasn't that great? That Pence was a gentleman and said, I know who I was kind of hooked up with, but I'm going to try to I'm still going to try to do the right thing, close this thing out.
It's what a leader should do, right? Like that, the essence of it is putting country first and what that means. And, in a lot of ways, Pence policy scares me personally more than a lot of dynamics, just from my personal experience and needs. But he was a leader in the end of what he held true to during the impeachment and then during the inauguration. And I may not agree with him on some of the human rights policies specifically. I mean, there are other policies I can actually agree with, but like on the human rights policies, I don't agree with him. But at the end of the day, I can say he behaved as a leader in the end. And it was the end for me earlier than some of the earlier, stunts of like going to Hamilton and then walking out or things like that, or the football game or something that he did as well. But in the end, that's what we need in leaders. I get to the point that I said, I not only want a retro for all of government, but I think mandatory psych evals yearly for all Congress and the executive branch of the government. Like we make FBI agents go through psych eval. If we send you back to Iraq multiple times, you go through a psych eval, right? Like if you are holding the highest offices, you should have a psych eval. And if you can't pass the white supremacy one, you're not qualified. Get out, right? And or misogyny, right? Like those dynamics of like, I don't want you there. So yeah, I'm like, I want to overhaul, and then I want a mandatory psych eval.
Yeah, I like that's a good.
Well, because they're like
that's good, because how else will you really know that somebody might have slipped a little bit? You know what I mean? It's kind of like when somebody no longer uses substance things or whatever they're addicted to, and they stop, and then you have that one little piece of sugar.
Well, power does do crazy things to people, and our system is not set up to prevent a lot of that. It only aids to it. I give respect to the 10 leaders that voted with the impeachment, and because I genuinely understand that their lives are at risk right now. Like that's jacked up that we have a system that's like this or that, right? And we wonder why our country is so divided. We do it at the complete ultimate top level. Why would we not do it as a country? It makes me think of, I did just a little intro microaggressions thing. It's kind of, and my stance on it has been a little bit of like, I have said these things. I continue to say some of them. I'm learning. So come learn with me. Right. Like is kind of my approach. And I just did this. And one person like towards the end of it ended up saying, thank you for doing this in the way that makes it not a binary, you're bad or not if you do one of these. Right. And that goes to this continuing the conversation. But I think from a leadership perspective, it is a little bit more binary for me. If you're spreading lies, that's not you are in a position of power. And with that, I'm going to quote Spider-Man is like comes great responsibility.
Right.
And there's just got to be more consequences. I'm loving what's Dominion suing like legal, like going after everybody. Oh my gosh. Because they're all having to tell the truth to avoid the lawsuit. And if I would like to send a love letter to the CEO, like, because I mean, he's like their jobs, their companies, and you were just lying with abandonment.
I'm making it out that we didn't do our job well.
From a position of power, whether it's journalist, Congress, the president, right? Like it's just not okay. And so not only do I want a psych eval, but I lie detector test. Hook you bad boys up until you stop lying. I want everybody hooked to a lie detector test as a, like.
We want Wonder Woman 1, and it just beeps.
Beep. Like the truth lace right.
Okay. Yes.
Or at least admit why you're doing it. Right? I want this base of hate right?
I want it to continue. Right. This is what I want. I want to keep segregation, and I want to keep segregation at the highest level so nobody else can ever get here, because we don't want to lose it. Yeah. And it's that, I mean, because at its core, that's what it is. Here's another part from the speech that I thought was interesting. Okay. So he says, history, faith, and reason show the way of unity. So, you know, I think, but I love the way they wrote this, whoever wrote it for him, right? We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. And he went on to say about, you know, the troubles that we have, and we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do not, I guarantee we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever failed in America when we've acted together. Now, I think that is true. There's been such a history of America coming together, but America does well coming together when people are against it. It doesn't have a great history of coming together when it's inside itself.
Strategy of an assassination.
That's the only time. Or there's some huge economic value base to be gotten out of it.
Yeah. Here's my problem with some of that. And we were talking about this the last time with Jamara, is it feels like, I don't know if you've ever been, I've been in an abusive relationship. Okay. And the gaslighting and abuse of just, well, you got to make the family work, or you got, and by the way, this is not my husband, not, I should probably say that up front. But like the level of, I mean, I was once, the cops were called to prove I wouldn't say anything. Right. And then the calls for unity always come after that, right? Like the flowers of well, just respect it's like, you can't do harm to people's basic human decency and then expect them to continue to just be the bigger person and and come together in dignity and unity. Like, I got some neighbors I ain't coming together with. I, in fact, trying to pretend to come together only reinforces that their hate is okay. And so like, that's one of those dynamics that I think is really challenging. And so I've been appreciating there can be no unity until there's accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you're the recipient of the hate, or you have close people that have been the recipient of the ignorant hate, mm-hmm. and I'm not even saying malicious, because sometimes it's not malicious. Yeah, it's just, here's what I was taught and believe, and I don't know any better, right? So it's not always malicious, but until that changes, the harm that has created is not something that it's like, okay, let's just agree to disagree. Because I partially think that's how we got here to begin with, is we spent the last several years being silent and agreeing to disagree so that we wouldn't have conflict. No, let's have this conflict. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, in some ways, that's how we're really going to unite, is by finally having the conflict, avoiding the conflict by being peaceful and just like agreeing to get along and not to rock in the boat is how we got here. Just like in teams and workplaces. If you get assigned to a team that has no conflict, that is not a good sign. It means they're not being honest with each other. It means they're not being open. They're not learning. They're not growing. They're not really collaborating.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because there is this force that happens if I try to make a connection with you, that either we lock, and even when you're trying to make that lock, there's still force that's going to cause some kind of thing when we try to actually get together. So yeah, that's very true.
So I want the conflict. I want it in a healthy way. I want it in a productive way.
Glad you said the healthy way.
But I want the conflict. I don't want the silence. I don't want to treat people like, just my good old neighbor. Well, first of all, I have many of my neighbors don't even know their names, right? But it just, I'm not down for the agree to disagree or just come together for the sake of the country, because how I come together is by facing the real topics. How I come together is by having the conflict, by learning, by growing, by educating, by myself included, right? And this just stems to the whole base of many problems, is how many people are conflict avoidance, right? Or try and believe that harmony is actually progress, when no, we're just making people quiet enough until they blow. And then
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny when you use the reference of music, and I think about harmony. When you first start singing with different singers, or you haven't sung for a while, right? Your harmony does not just.
You're gonna rub this in, then I can't sing. Okay, you're just gonna rub it in.
This particular analogy, okay, is not going to make you barf. All right,
that is cool. You can go. I like it. I can learn.
So when singers first come together, there is always the idea of finding how your voice works with theirs. So even where you would harmonize with somebody else this way, right? There's a conflict, and there's that thing where, oh my God, that's kind of ours. That's woo, it's so off there. Let's tone that down. There is that until the harmony is born. So harmony never comes just like that. Which is why singers rehearse, right, together, because it don't just happen. And even if outside people don't hear it,
I just haven't found the right people to sing with, and then I would sound amazing.
I'm telling you, get some really good backup singers that can make you sound like you're just like you've been singing your whole lifetime, just absolutely like a fabulous swallow.
But I mean, I think that's beautiful, because there really is that dynamic of working together, and to work together, there has to be some accountability of harm. Otherwise, you're just putting more weight on the oppressed, and I'm done doing that.
It's so funny. It was really weird. I was in a room. Remember I told you about this Clubhouse thing, right? So I was in a room that was white women having conversations with black women. Here's all the questions a white woman can ask a black woman in Western. So it was this big, huge room, and it got up to like about 500, maybe even 1,000 people I heard, and it ran for 2 days straight without closing.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And one of the things that came across so strongly just in that room was the exhaustion. So exhausted, you don't know how to deal with every day. So, some people were, due to where they were, they came off as the stereotypical aggressive, angry, right? That would be labeled. But no, I'm just tired and triggered. Right. And you've just said something that people always say to me that I always have to smile at. But guess what? In this room, I'm not smiling today. I'm going to let you have it.
And in some ways, I'm going to let you in to see I'm done.
My biggest concern with that, though, afterwards was, wow, here's a space where we can have this conversation. But now there's the world we got to go back and live in. Right? What do we do to make that place that we spend more time in than these little pots that we can go to kind of, right? What do we do with that?
It makes me actually think, because it's not just continuing the conversation. I now almost like there's an element of continuing the conflict, like learning to have conflict to continue the conversation. Because it is hard. Like, it does hurt when you realize you hurt somebody. It does feel like a character attack, and our brains want to double down on defense. I said something stupid the other day, and I went, "Ooh, like, oopsies!" Right? Like, okay. And I was like, "Can I buy flowers? Do I But because it does suck. I mean, most people are not walking around trying to be malicious or ill intent, but that doesn't change the fact that it's hard. Like, I was just talking to somebody, speaking of just like what people expect, right? And they're like, well, why would somebody get upset if I told them to smile? I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to ask me this question. This is a bad one to ask me. I'm so tired. I have unhappy resting face as it is. And I think as I get older, I look angrier or something, because it just comes to me more now. And I was like, okay. So I stopped and said, well, what's the good intent of saying it to me? Well, because I want you to be happy, right? I'm like, okay, great. What do you think it says to me? And he's like, well, you're going to write your own story. So I'm like, great, fine. put yourself in my shoes. What stories, based on the world I see, what stories have I told myself that you're really saying to me? And they're like, well, that maybe you should just sit there and be pretty. I'm like, yeah, not a fun one, especially as a woman in tech. And I was like, but what else? Right. Like, and it was interesting because he was able to go down a path of like imposter syndrome and not being valued for your intellect, like, and having to be the one that makes everybody come together and the funny one, you're right. Like, and
the nurturer, the
carer, the making everything okay. And you're not supposed to be so angry. And I'm like, so what am I supposed to do with that then? And it was a really fascinating question because he was coming at it from like, just stop being upset that someone gave you a compliment. I'm like, first of all, telling someone to smile is not a compliment. But like, even if I take and acknowledge your good intent that you just want me to be happy, what should I do with that then still? And he's like, well, just let it go. And I'm like, yeah, have you met me? Right? Because the problem is in so many of these things, whether it's racial, it's gender, it's sexual orientation, right? Like they're not just an isolated incident. They're repetitive. It goes back to our microaggressions conversation from before. And you just get to a point of not today.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah. This is not the day. Yeah. This is not that day. I mean, it's now I have to ask myself this question. And I never had to ask myself this question before, right?
Oh, I'm curious.
But I have to ask myself the question, have I ever had an authentic relationship with somebody who wasn't the same color as me?
That's tough.
That's a hard question. Do you know what I mean? That I have to ask that. And then the question in my mind is, can I ever build a relationship that's really deep, right? Or am I being somehow deceived in the relationship to think there's more in it than there is?
That code switching has become such a part of you that what are your relationships?
And that was never something I would have ever taken myself down or asked myself that question before. Right. But it's now a question that I ask myself.
We have a friend that posted a statement that says, if you don't know how your BIPOC friends are feeling right now, they're not your friends.
Yeah.
But it never occurred to me also within the community, how much are you code switching even with yourselves as well?
Yeah. So it's a question. It's a question I now have to ask, right? And I've never been transparent enough in that space with myself to know I needed to ask myself that question or that I had doubts. But now it makes sense to me, right? So I played back myself walking into rooms, not starting conversations with people, waiting for permission to be invited to tables. So it's kind of like that high school thing of, can I sit at your table? Can I sit with the cool kids? And I realized I'd been playing through that. So it meant that there wasn't true, authentic relationships that I had, even though I thought I had them. Because if I did, I wouldn't feel that way. So, for instance, I have a friend I recently reconnected with who I knew when my babies were like little, right? And if I went to her house today, it would be like I'd never left. There would not be any P's and Q's with me of, oh, let me be careful, whatever. I'd walk straight into her kitchen. I'd sit on a couch and I'd just be whatever. I would do that without even a thought. So then I have to go back to myself and I think, how many people who I believe I have a relationship would invite me to their home to come sit on their couch? How many of them would I invite into my house? Even if my house was a mess. Because you know, for some it's could be kind of clean up, right?
I'm screwed when this COVID thing's over because I haven't been cleaning that. I was like, nobody's coming over. No one ever is going to see me again.
Right. So it's kind of, it's that question. And now for me, being at this age that I'm at, I do want to make sure I have authentic relationships with people. Do you know what I mean? And be conscious with myself. If I'm not, then okay, this person's a colleague. Okay. Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing. No, absolutely, there isn't. But it's being able to be honest with myself about it.
That's really powerful.
So that's one of those things. So I now have a very pronounced inside of me, in my head, a filter of, can I trust you really? Or is that just a smile that we're doing right now? You know what I mean? So it's an interesting place, because I now understand when I've heard conversations of people saying to me they're frightened of white people. I get it. I never got it before. Never, ever. I'm like, what are you talking about?
You've done this twice now with the cliffhanger right at the end of the call, man. So guess what our topic is for next go? I like it. You didn't even mean to do the cliffhangers, but you're doing them. Let's do the next topic somewhat of just fears, right? Like, what are some of those fears in terms of racial or gender or things like that that cause people to worry about losing something when someone's just getting equity, right? Mm-hmm. What is those fears? Nice.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and then maybe we can bring in a psychoanalyst person.
Okay.
I'll have a hunt and see if we can bring one in who can kind of tell us what, well, the feeling is because of this.
Ooh, this. I like it.
That'd be cool, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, deal with our intellectualism of like,
I know.
Let's learn.
I can code switch and pretend to be smart for a little bit.
Yes, give some thoughts. That'd be awesome. So we are at 1:55, and we want to, kind of check comments. If anybody wants to make a comment, say anything whatsoever, and kind of thing, so that we can answer them, or suggestions, what have you. We are going to be doing.
The next one is, the 4th.
It's the 4th, right? Yeah, the next one is the 4th. And we are going to be doing a better job of kind of putting these out there. Because one of the things I have learned now is, although these streaming softwares don't allow me to be able to put them out that far in advance, because they only allow you to do so many days, I can actually use the events on LinkedIn and then put the streaming thing inside of it.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so I found out about that. So I'm going to be doing that.
I still can't get LinkedIn to let me go live. I keep resubmitting my app.
I told you it took me ages.
I'm just gonna start doing it under yours.
You just do what you want to use it. You just let me know.
I'm like,
because it took me over a year.
Yeah, they just keep closing it. Stop it.
Right, and then you have to go back and resubmit it again, and then go back and resubmit it again.
I'm going to start counting it as I resubmit them. Be 1 of 6, 6 of 7. Because I'm obnoxious that way.
So we want to thank you for tuning in, and those of you who will tune in later to watch. This will be going up on YouTube, because this is the new year, and this little lady here is going to be disciplined now on putting these stuff up. So it will be editing out all that soundy stuff that we had.
Well, I'm sure somebody like that from my days at TechSmith, if we did a video where you couldn't hear sound, the sound was showing up on that video later, man. So that's always a very dangerous thing with my crew.
So we're gonna figure this out. I've definitely, like I said, I've gone back to StreamYard using them, because I had gone over to not just Ecamm but Restream, because there's certain things about StreamYard that I think are just kind of cleaner and nicer, and they're constantly doing these groups over and over again. Every Sunday they have a big live where the creators of it actually come on to hear about it. Yes. So they do like live retrospectives. Well, how has it been going? What's the feedback you have?
Oh, look
What
at that,
features would you
lovely.
like to see? So they're very, very agile in their approach, which I really kind of like.
Respect.
And it gives you back your green screen.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So
This,
it gives you back your green.
lovely partition.
It's going to give you back. Yes, you're going to get back your green screen. So we will use this. But I'm going to play with doing a couple more things on the guest scene. So I'm getting ready to launch the Let's Talk Agile that I've been talking about for forever.
Nice.
Yes. So I that's one of the reasons why I've been playing with the platforms. Yeah,
Right.
so we can just come and we can literally articulate an Agile, and I've already started scouting guests who are not from the Agile industry at all to come on and talk, and then me to articulate what they've been doing and how it's actually Agile, although they don't have the lexicon for it.
Oh, I like that. That's lovely.
So it's going to be kind of cool. It's going to be kind of cool.
I like it. I like it.
Yes, that will be cool. I will be hitching you up on that one, actually. And when you come, you'll be promoting your new business.
I know.
Yes.
Well, I do have, I think there's only one spot left in the microaggressions workshop on the 28th that I have. It's donation. I'm not trying to make any money. Like, so I think it's like $1.
Okay.
You can donate for $1. So I have that coming up on the 28th, but otherwise I don't really have any publics until April. So.
Okay. All right. So next time we come up, we'll probably have more of a schedule for you so that you guys can know where you can meet us when we're in our field doing the thing that we do when we're training. And so that you can come and learn from us in those spaces. Please keep watching. Share this with others. Subscribe to our channel, which will be going up. So you'll be able to do that. So you can become part of the community of people who want to keep having conversations. And we can start looking at this whole conflict. Let's have conflict so we can continue having a conversation. That's deep there, girl.
I know.
Scary.
I'm very,
Scary.
yeah. I'm going to be rolling this around now.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but it's deep. I think it's going to be good. It definitely has to be facilitated. Yeah, and maybe you will allow people to wear kind of like those fake big gloves. So when I believe I'm about to hit you and put a blow, there's the glove showing a blow is coming. But I prepared you that the blow is coming so you can be prepared and not be overly shocked by it. And then the facilitator can bring us back together. Now let's have a conversation. Why was it necessary to make that blow?
Is it wrong that I just want to still hit though with it?
No, it's not wrong. It says, like we said, you've got the space to have the feeling. But because right now it would have to be virtual, can't hit anybody, right?
That's
you have a pillow. I mean, people are kind of safe from being slapped in the face or knocked out for now, at least. So thank you, everybody. We're at 2:00. I want to thank Tricia for doing this with me. Thank you guys for joining. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks in the same place here on LinkedIn Live and on YouTube. So take care, guys, and keep having the courage to have the conversations. Okay?
I don't know if I'm still alive. I'm just going to close it. Bye.